Hello, I'm Sara Scott, and welcome to LUTV Sports Break, where we will discuss interesting sports topics with our panel of sports reporters. The fight for gender equality for women in sports continues, with strides being made with the hiring of women assistant coaches in the NBA and NFL. It seems like the page is turning, but recently, the United States women's soccer team filed a lawsuit against the Soccer Federation because they receive less pay than the men's team. Panel, where are we in the battle of the sexes for equality in sports?
We're in a bad position. I mean,
I agree.
You look at the athletes for women's sports. Do people know who Julie Ertz is? Do they know who Sue Bird is? I mean, people don't. I do because I pay attention to it. And, you know, like I said, we're in a downward spiral, and it needs to stop. Like, we need to have equality.
But when you look at it from the business aspect of it, women's sports don't get as much exposure.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes down to it, like, you have to make money as a business in order to pay people. And women aren't getting the exposure on television. They're not selling as many jerseys. They are a better team, but they're just not getting the exposure that the boys are.
And here's the thing with that. It's people are going to say the men's sports are more entertaining and stuff like that. Because no, the women do not need to jump up and do a 360 and over-under dunk, all that stuff that like the men like to do. I think if you go back to how basketball was, that it wasn't so much like that. It was more fundamental, which is what the women do.
And that's why people say, oh, women's sports are boring, because we're not doing the whole acrobatic field. We're not doing the whole alley-oop, throw it up, lob city. We're not seeing LeBron James jump from a half-court line. You know what I'm saying? We're not seeing that. So they're going to say it's boring. But at the same time, though I feel like the women's teams are more better than like the men's team. It's more exciting. You see the passion coming from it. It's not the egos that you see from male's team.
I remember I was watching the Olympics and watching the women's soccer team, and I was like freaking out on the edge of my seat, yelling in my living room. And it was most people were going to be like, it's just women's soccer, but it's not. It's so much more than that. It's so exciting.
I'm not going to lie. I really do find men's sports more entertaining, because when it comes down to it, people want to watch a more entertaining game. Now, you're right. The girls' sports have the passion. They have the fundamentals. But when you're at the professional level, when you're the highest that it gets, it's less about the fundamentals and more about the entertainment value, and that's the issue here.
And I think the good thing about not so much the sport in general, but like when San Antonio hired Becky Hammond to be the assistant coach, I was so excited because women were finally getting those offers in the men's sports. But I would expect nothing less of Greg Popovich, because that's just the kind of guy he is. He's not going to look at gender. He's going to look at what is your knowledge in this game.
Coming from a very fundamental team.
Right.
Yes.
And speaking on that, a lot of males, I feel like a lot of males would have probably been like, nah, I'm not going to have a female on my coaching staff.
Right.
But the fact that Greg Popovich put that aside and was like, I'm not even worried about your gender. Like you said, I'm worried about what you know. What can you bring to the coaching staff? What new ideas, what new creativity can you bring to the coaching staff? And that's what, we as a male, speaking for the males, have to get used to. The world is evolving. We have to have to realize that a lot of positions that we're in can be male dominated, but it can also be female dominated. They know just as much as we know. Just because they're a female, doesn't mean we degrade them and be like, I'm not gonna hire you. Why do you feel like you should be on my coaching staff? We don't know nothing about the sport. Little do they know, they probably know more than what we know. We just got to give them a chance.
For me, I know as a female, speaking for females who love sports and who have a passion for sports, like, football is one of my favorite things in the whole world. Like, I study football, I study stats, I love it. And the look that I get from guys when I try to put my input on something, or when I say my opinion on something, is ridiculous. And I just feel like as a society, we're past that point, and it just, to see the girls going and coaching these teams, it makes me really, really excited, but at the same time, I'm so upset for them, because I know on a daily that they're gonna get so much backlash. They're going to be like, hey, you need to do this. And the guy that they're trying to tell that to is probably going to be like, what do you know? You're a female. And that makes me so sad, because as a society, we should be doing better than that for sure.
Exactly.
And I think that's not so much, I think that's a personal opinion. That's just, some guys are going to do that. Some guys are going to look at you, and it's always going to be like that. You're not going to be able to change their mind. But I think we, as a society, are starting to evolve.
For sure.
And because I've seen the way, like, the Spurs have taken to Becky Hammon, and like, they've come out and been like, she knows what she's talking about.
Yeah.
Why would I not want to better myself, even though it's coming from a female?
It's just the fact that she had to work twice as hard to get there. That's the issue. She not only had to prove herself, but she had to go above and beyond to prove herself.
Yeah.
And that's just sad because she's a girl. Really?
And Kay, you work for the UP, right?
Yeah.
So, like, what is it like, you know, with the sports, you know, how do you, like, what is your take on it?
Well, the whole sports I'm covering and stuff like that. I just feel like this female sports, you know, they don't get as much coverage, and it's horrible.
Yeah.
And I try to push for that. You know, even I started out this year covering soccer and covering the women's basketball team, you know. And it's the same thing with the attendance, you know, we talked about earlier. You know, I go to the women's game. I'm doing double headers, of course, you know, women first, men second, you know. Go out there, you have the usual support team. If anyone who's been to a women's game knows the support team, the little heads and whatnot. And the attendance is down from the men's, because I'll sit there and let's just say there's like 100 people. Let's just say that. The men come on, it's like twice that.
Yeah.
And it's not fair. And like I said, the women are more entertaining.
Right.
And it's the same thing that goes for soccer. The soccer games are entertaining. To watch the girls' faces, all of that.
And especially talking about Lamar, prior to their playoff game, they had so much on the line. You were talking about like a 40-game win streak at home, and that's just, you got to think about those things.
Being at home, you need your fans.
You need your
there.
fans. You need
like
the
that's the whole
you
point
know,
of
you
home
need your
field
support,
advantage, or home court advantage, or whatever sport it is. You need your fans there.
And they just
they're not
don't,
showing
they
up.
don't get it.
Yeah,
But
they're not showing up.
I just hope that one day, soon, as a society, we'll be able to pick it up and realize that women are just as equal as boys in sports.
Exactly.
But thank you, panel, and thank you for tuning into LUTV Sports Break. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter for more Lamar University sports. We'll see you next time.